Welcome to It's Personal, Not Just Business, with your host, Michael Fliegelman. In each episode, you'll learn lessons from other successful financial advisors and brokers. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on swanwealth.com. Now here's the host of It's Personal, Not Just Business, Michael Fliegelman.
Hi, and welcome everybody. My name is Michael Fliegelman, and welcome to another episode of It's Personal, Not Just Business. And we came up with that idea, that name, that tagline, as it kind of is the opposite of The Godfather. Everything that we do at my company is really about developing relationships with people, and it becomes personal. It's not just business. And today we have the one and only Mr. Fred Kettler, who epitomizes that kind of personality that when he does business, it's not just about a transaction, it's about a relationship. So, first, I want to say thank you for joining us, Fred, and welcome.
Michael, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Well, we do appreciate you. We appreciate your business, and we appreciate your willingness to share ideas and thoughts that could help others. So, before we go into some more technical questions and get to know you a little bit, just share a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you arrived here today. Your journey. You know, where you brought up and how you ended up in the financial services and the planning business. Give us a little bit of a taste.
We have 2-3 hours, you said? You have 65 more years. So sure.
Not quite. I think I probably only have about 20 more, 30 maybe,
okay.
if I'm lucky.
My journey started in Queens, New York. Born in Jackson Heights. We moved to a town called a little community called Bay Terrace in the town of Bayside in Queens. From 3 years old to 19 and a half. I survived that. Not all of us did. And I took a little bit of a different path, Mike. I don't know if you remember, but I joined the military. I joined the United States Air Force for the job that I wanted, which was a photographer. I got a guaranteed job, and that was my route out of to escape from New York. I think there was a film by that title.
Yes, I remember that.
And so, my book smart friends went to college, and I think I had undiagnosed ADD, and I had problems with focus and studying that way. Fortunately, I grew up in Queens, so I learned by experience how to operate, right, and how to survive. Really, no kidding. But so off I went, and of all the places in the world, I was guaranteed the job. I just wasn't guaranteed where I was going to be stationed. And I wound up getting stationed in Central California, between San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, on 35 miles of coastline called Vandenberg, which is the Western Missile Test Range, like Cape Kennedy here. And it was a place I always dreamed of, growing up. Beach Boys, California Girls, I grew up in the concrete jungle, and would you know that I wound up getting to go there and spend 4 years doing my tour of duty there, which was a fabulous experience in itself, and I never looked back. And it's really what got me launched in how do you take care of yourself, and it was a great launch pad for me. After 3 years, I was ready to get out. I basically maxed out and wanted to get on with my life. I wound up dabbling in this and that, pursuing music for a while. And ultimately, I got recruited by a dear friend of mine from Queens, wife, who was with Prudential district agencies. So in 1987, after about a year of her trying to recruit me, somehow, some way I passed and got not only my life and health and my securities license, but my property and casualty license, because Prudential required you to have all those licenses to join their mission. And some miraculous way, that was the hardest thing I think I had ever had to do, was to pass all those exams, based on my the ability to retain a lot of stuff that I'm not interested in. Basically, that's what that was about. But I did it, and 37 years ago, coming up, I got into this business. So that's the quick and dirty of getting into the business.
So what got you to go into this business? I mean, you did the 4 years in California. You were hanging out on the beach. You were loving life.
I was doing photography. Yeah.
And what was what inspired you to pursue this?
Well, she was a really good, she was relentless, and was really wouldn't let it go. Every time I'd see her, they had moved out to Southern California, as it turned. And every time we'd get together, it was, you really should do this. You should do this, blah, blah, blah. I think what it was I was looking for something, and I knew I had the gift of gab, and everything that I'd ever wanted to sell prior to being in, quote, sales, which I don't like the word, but, being in an industry where you have to sell stuff, I always did a really good job of selling any possessions, or, selling people on whatever. I was very convincing, or just, whatever the term is.
Influential.
Yeah, influential. Yeah, I was influential. And it was like, hey, what do I don't have anything to lose, right? And it worked. It really worked. If you remember, Prudential gives you 13 weeks at that point of upfront money, and it was like $400 a week for 13 weeks, and what you transacted in over those 13 weeks is what you got paid, divided by 13 over the next 13 weeks. And the subsidy goes away. And it's pretty crazy when you think about it, but I made it happen, and there were certainly highs and lows during those quarters, but it worked.
Awesome. So in the 37 years since, you have probably amassed so many interesting cases, opportunities, people that you have met. What is it that you can share with some of the listeners about some of the best lessons that you have learned that is transferable to some of the listeners that are on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest, there's been some really cool, milestones or moments in this career. I think the biggest thing for me right now is the fact that people trust me with their futures, right? I've gotten to this point now where I call myself a financial coach, and with whether I'm working on my own or with my planning partner David Bibikoff, coaching people, it blows me away that what a responsibility I have. So it was this big shift of viewpoint of, I have to sell, I have to grind, raise 3 kids, and needed to, generate income. And then I got to a stage around 50 where it became, and I went through something that we may want to discuss or not, but all along the way, Michael, it was not an easy business, and it was a grind, and a lot of rejection, a lot of not right now, call me in 6 months, or people don't tell you exactly what's on their mind, and it was a grind, and I was hustling.
Sure.
I've gotten to the point now where it's not like that at all. It's, this is like, I put out an invitation selectively for people to discover what may be possible, regarding their finances and regarding having a better life, a better future. Might that be possible? And just, finding people that are open to having a conversation, and it's by invitation. So it's a real shift from chasing people and hustling and going after every line of business. And I had all the licenses. I was doing a lot of group business and 401k plans and annuities and term life, group term, group dental, um, health insurance, right? And then personal life insurance, annuities, disability insurance, long-term care, a lot of product sales, if you will, one-dimensional, the way most people, the way most agents and advisors are. They're very, very one-dimensional, not this broadly holistic view on, well, where's it all going, right? Because so that was the big shift for me. The big shift was hustling and chasing to inviting and uplifting and adding value. So it's a whole different conversation.
Absolutely. What comes to mind is a lesson I learned many years ago. It's, if you give to people what they want, you'll get what you want. And it's kind of like give versus get. Most of the time, probably for the first, period in your career, you were out there trying to make sales. Now you're inviting people into a process that is giving rather than getting. Because when people call you, when you call on people, they think, all right, what does he want? And years ago, I went through a program called Strategic Coach. I imagine you're familiar with it. Many advisors go to this entrepreneurial coaching program run by Dan Sullivan.
Right.
And one of the things that he talks about in his program is the what they call the R value question. So when a meeting begins, and I always like to start every meeting I have, whether it's with a new advisor that's working with us or if I'm working with a client, let's say you were the client, Fred, I would say something like this: Fred, what would make this meeting really great for you?
Right.
And
Sure.
just by asking that, it changes the dynamic of, here I am trying to sell you something, versus the way I may show up now by asking that question is, what can I do to make this time we spend together valuable?
Right.
And I have found that that is just such a game changer, because it changes the view by which people see you. You're no longer pushing, you're kind of like pulling in the same direction. How can
Yeah.
I be of help? The focus is on you,
Yeah.
not on me selling
Yeah.
you something, but on you benefiting from my 40 years of experience and sharing with me what's on your mind.
Yeah.
So, that's just such a huge, huge, change, from when you went from, the regular way that you were doing things to this invitation, coaching approach that you're using now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've had help along the way, uh, people like Steve D'Annunzio, who you're very close with, right? I gravitated to him through David Bibicoff, again, led me to him. And it resonated with me, it resonated with me deeply on how to show up in life. And I know I'm
Sure.
speaking your language. And what I say now is that the money follows value, meaning we get compensated in direct correlation to the value that we deliver for others. So if we deliver big value, big, game-changing value for somebody's future, we'll get paid accordingly. But it's in that order. Okay. It's not what's in it for me. It's absolutely what's in it for the client, as it should be in life. It should be how can we help our brothers and sisters, right, Like,
Absolutely.
I really feel like that's what we're here to do. It's just sad that, the world doesn't behave that way in general.
Yeah, some of us do. And, going back to the give versus get, you're certainly a giver. I know that from the years we've been working together, and your attention to detail and your desire to always do the very best you can for your clients. I think it's a tribute to who you are and how you do your business. One of the things that, we always get caught up in when we're in a sales business is trying to impress upon people, what we know. And there was a great saying I heard many years ago, and it goes something like this: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And one of the things you shared with me is that, you want to stop selling and ask more questions. And I think that that's where the rubber hits the road, because by asking questions, you're moving off of the push to get someone to do something versus understanding what keeps them up at night. The name of my company is Swan, which stands for two things: Strategic Wealth Advisor Network. But the reason I call it Swan Wealth is it stands for sleep well at night. And the only reason we could get people to sleep well at night is by delivering to them good value by first understanding. First, they say seek to understand, then to be understood. And I know from the values that you have shared with me and demonstrated that you ask a lot of questions so that you can find out what's important to your clients.
That's right. That's right. 100%.
Terrific. Wonderful. So share with us a little bit about how you're able to, over this very long and successful career of 37 years in this business, how do you maintain a work and life balance? I'm sure you have lots of things going on both in your business world and your personal world, and sometimes they get out of whack. Like for me, sometimes I find I'm working too much. I'm not spending enough time with my loved ones. How are you able to reconcile that in your life, Fred?
Yeah, great question. I'll tell you, it's been a very interesting year, and since the pandemic, actually, right, where we all got kind of turned upside down, and it was at that moment. To backtrack a little bit, on a personal note, I do a conscious breath work session every Thursday for the last 6 years or so, for about 1.5 years leading up to 2020, the pandemic. And I can't believe we took a 2-year break. Like we all, well, I took a 2-year break from that, and there was a lot, that had changed in those 2 years, right? We shifted away from in-person meetings to Zoom and on virtual stuff, which is phenomenal, the efficiency of that. But I was led to this life coach who I went to at a time where I wanted to speak with somebody. I was going through some personal thing and just wanted someone to speak with. And at the end, and I signed up for 10 coaching sessions with this woman. And at the end of the 9th session, it was like, she's great. I'm feeling better. I kind of know a lot of this, and I probably wasn't going to sign up for another 10 lessons or 10 sessions. And at the end of the 9th session, with me thinking about that, she says to me at the end of the 9th session, Fred, we're going to try something different next week. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I think you're ready for it. Anyway, when I came back the next week, I'm saying to myself, this better be good, because otherwise this is the end of probably the relationship, as lovely as she was. And she proceeded to tell me, we're going to do some breathing exercise with meditation, and it's called rebirthing. And basically you get into a very comfortable, kind of comfy little reclined couch chair. And I know how to meditate. I've done meditation before, and you basically count yourself down into a meditation, but with your mouth open and only breathing in and out of your mouth, you learn and practice breathing deep, as deeply as you can, consistently, kind of like an engine, in and out, not really stopping, just consistently breathing. And man, did it take me to another place. Like the addition of the oxygen consciously and meditating to quiet your mind from other thoughts, and that in itself takes a lot of practice, as you're probably aware of, is the art of meditation, to actually quiet your mind from any thoughts whatsoever other than the breath, or the music that's playing. It takes a lot of practice to be able to quiet our busy minds. Well, this was a phenomenal 45-minute experience. And when I came out and woke up and shared with her a little bit, I said, "Can we just do that?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I re-upped, signed up for 10 breath work. And every Thursday, Mike, I go there and treat myself to such a healing time with this woman who obviously I trust, to be in that space and to be vulnerable to go into this really, really quiet space. And every time it's a little different. And sometimes it's more, impactful than others, but it's always amazing. I can't even really describe, other than everyone should try not only meditation, but breath work, to figure out and learn how to do this breathing exercise. And you really can't do this type of breathing on your own, really needs to be facilitated. But I want to tell you that leading up to the pandemic allowed me to just be totally at peace with what was occurring. And I just took the stand of, well, nobody wants to talk to me now about their future, because nobody even knows if we're going to have a future. I mean, it was that crazy. But I was able to just relax. And I said, well, I have residual income coming in, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm just going to, take this time to regroup and reorganize. And it was very, actually, it was a good thing for me, in other words,
Absolutely.
to go through. And it really helped me shift and really, I'm sure you as well, get grounded in what's valuable. I mean, we were all very scared with what's going on. Are we all gonna die? That kind of thing. And people were dying, and all you wanted to do is be with your children and be safe, and everything, nothing else mattered but being okay. So that breath work and that practice leading up to that was extremely helpful. And then getting back to it has been amazing for the last probably year and a half. So that really helps me to stay balanced in my psyche. And also, I've learned how to really work less somehow, and attract more and not worry about it. Really is the key. The key is,
Yeah.
I really stopped worrying about, like, I had the word is scarcity. I learned that I had a scarcity mentality about money myself, and I was always worried deep down inside. And I'm not going to bore you with my upbringing and my parents getting divorced, and my mom not talking to my dad for 20 years, and I'm 5 years old and my brother's 8, and all the conversation from my mom was anger, and ask your dad, ask your father, where's my check, and money. And I mean, really not healthy for a child at 5 years old to be, faced with that kind of thing, but that occurred.
Sure.
And so I'm really, really grateful that I got to discover a lot of self-work along the way. And it wasn't just this breath work. I was led to something actually in my teens, and I was led to Life Springs actually in the military at 20, where Life Springs was like EST, which was a very, very deep 5-day journey into yourself. So I've been working on myself throughout my life. And even come to find Matson Money, Mark Matson wound up hiring the people who launched Landmark, which was the latest iteration of EST and Life Springs on a much lighter level.
Wow.
But Landmark trainings, and Mark Matson hires the Steve Zaffron, who founded one of the founders of Landmark, to be his own personal coach, and that was more of the same kind of teachings and trainings. So I've been around that, and Steve D'Annunzio shares that kind of value stuff as well. But all this self work and now the breath work has really, really gotten me to a place where of trust, and that's what it is. It's just trusting my intuition, which has really been the guiding light for me my whole life without even knowing it. I was not in touch at all with what I call spirituality, until about my mid 40s. But I will tell you right now, I'm quite a spiritual soul, and I just have a whole lot of trust about my purpose, for being here at all. Like, why are we here? Like, what is the purpose? And I'm pretty clear about my purpose, and part of my purpose, I mean, one of the big things, not just to be a loving, husband and parent and friend, but an advisor to really, really help others with having peace of mind around, their finances and their future. So I know that was a lot, but hopefully the message came through.
Absolutely. It's great. It's a great message. And, there's no better role model than ourselves in life when we're acting as a coach. And, I appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable and talking about all the things you've done to make you the best version of yourself. And I'm sure that reflects well in your interactions with your clients over the years, that I'm sure that you're a better resource to them because you know yourself that much better and understand yourself. And the big danger out there for people is that anxiety and stress that is permeating our culture in so many ways due to a tough economic situation, wars and hate and politics. And it's a very difficult thing. So congratulations to you for doing all this growth work that allows you to do the best job for yourself and your family and your loved ones, but also to your clients. So let's talk a little bit about who you like to work with. Who's your perfect kind of clientele? Is it doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs,
No,
astronauts? Tell us a little bit about who you like to work with.
it's funny. I really don't have a target market, if you will. I'm just, I really want to help everyone that's open to going down that path of discovery. People that I cross paths with, people that, for again, intuition. I'm gonna return to intuition, Mike, because it's funny, but my gut will just out of the blue, hey, you should call so and so, or follow up with whatever. It's about time. And so I'm very in tune with, I guess, the forces of nature, and intuition helps me to really decide nowadays who it is that I even want to reach out to and connect with. And
Well,
so I've been playing pickleball a lot. I don't invite everybody I meet, and it's a gut call on, hey, I was wondering if you might be open to learning some strategies, or share a little bit about what I do, see if I can add some value for you. You probably have great advisors and blah, whatever I say. I can't even say it verbatim because it's just whatever. I don't have any canned scripts or anything like that. I just show up as me. And when it's the right energy, I try to make a connection.
Absolutely beautiful. Share with the audience a little bit about how people could get to reach you if they wanted to speak to you, give you a call. Share with us a little bit about, how do we get in touch with Fred Kettler?
Oh, well, my cell phone number is a great way. I always like to speak with people. I think this world of texting and emails, so much gets lost in translation. I'm old school. And that's been a little bit frustrating, right? And trying to connect with those that you really want to connect with. And these days, it seems to be okay for people not to respond, even though you've known them for 20 or 30 years, and they just don't respond.
Sure.
They don't even say, I'm busy, what's up, just crickets, right?
Sure.
That's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, but feel free to give me a call, or you can text me, because if you call me from a number I don't know, I may not answer the phone these days, right? Because all the spam we get.
Right.
But you can please feel free to text me and introduce yourself. My direct cell number is area code 305-785-8101. That's 305-785-8101. I'm also Fred, F-R-E-D, at KettlerFinancial.com. That's my last name, Kettler. And again, Fred, F-R-E-D, at KETTLER Financial.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, either Kettler Financial or Fred Kettler. I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a fabulous business platform. It has a messaging tool there. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Would be wonderful.
Terrific. Fred, I wanted to thank you for your business, your time today, and sharing so generously your story about your life on It's Personal, Not Just Business. It was great to share with the audience your story, and I want to wish you and yours peace, health, and happiness in the holiday season and in the coming years. Only good things, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike, for the invitation. It's really been an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. It means a lot. So thank you so much. And great holidays, everybody. Wonderful 2024. Take care of yourselves a little bit more this coming year, and check out meditation and breath work. It can really be life-changing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fred. Bye-bye.
Bye, Mike.
You've been tuning into It's Personal, Not Just Business, with your host, Michael Fliegelman. Each episode features role models and lessons from other successful financial advisors and brokers. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.